Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. So today we're here to talk all about buffers, and more specifically buffers within your checking account. I have been doing a lot of budgeting videos lately. I've been like hardcore budgeting, and so in a lot of my videos recently I've been talking about how we have a buffer in our checking account, and I got a lot of questions about what is it, why do you have it, how do you build up to it, and so I figured I'd do a whole video all about what I consider a buffer and how we built it up to be where it is today. So before we get into it, I want to quickly mention that if you're wondering what I'm wearing in any of these videos, try and look down below in the description box. I will try to be better about linking stuff. Although I have to say a lot of the clothes that I have that are in my closet are really old and unlinkable, but I will try to be better about it. So if you want to check this out, this is actually a like cute baby doll dress. I will have it linked down below. Okay, so into buffers. What is a buffer? To me and to Jason, a buffer is basically just a set amount of money that is in our checking account at all times. So right now that buffer is $5,000, and Jason and I reevaluated that once I became self-employed and we knew that our income would be more variable, or pretty much all variable. So that amount obviously will vary depending on your situation. I definitely recommend like sitting down, looking at some of your expenses. If it's something that you want to put into place, you definitely need to kind of evaluate your situation, because finances are very personal and it will definitely depend on your situation, what you're comfortable with. I've had a lot of people recently, say, oh, I wouldn't keep, $5,000 in my checking account. That's a wasted opportunity. And that's great for you. But for us, we feel comfortable having that money so that if something comes up, we have money set aside. Now, keep in mind that we also have an emergency fund. We have a 6-month emergency fund. So if anything happened with my job, with the world, we would have money set aside. But this is honestly just money set in our checking account that we always have. And the main reason I would say that I have a buffer in my account is because I do a monthly budget. And when I'm doing that monthly budget, I am not including the buffer whatsoever. I do not have rollover money or anything like that. When I'm making my budget, I am doing money that's coming in that month. So the buffer is not included because we already earned that money in, prior months. It was already included in prior budgets. And so I don't do any of that like rollover or any of that type of stuff. Our buffer is basically just extra money in our account. And again, the reason why I like to do that is because I do a monthly budget and I don't want to worry about the timing of when income is coming in and expenses are going out. So having that $5,000 in our account means that regardless of when income is coming in or expenses are going out, we're covered. I know that $5,000 is 1 month of expenses for us, and so there's never going to be a time when, we don't receive a paycheck in time and then our mortgage comes out and our account is negative. We never have to worry about the timing, and that is one thing that with budgeting, I just don't want to do. I don't want to worry about the timing of stuff. I'd rather just know, okay, we have this set amount in our account, and going forward, when stuff comes out, stuff goes in, it doesn't matter. So that's me personally. I know a lot of people have rollover types of stuff to avoid that. I know some people do paycheck budgeting. I love budgeting, I enjoy it, but if you get into that detail, I feel like it just makes it really confusing and like annoying to me, and so I don't want to do that. So that is probably the main reason why we have a buffer in our account, is because of the timing of everything. Now again, I do not include that buffer in our income because again, it's already earned. That is something that's a little different for people, because I know sometimes when you are like a month ahead, which is kind of what we are, you would budget based off of that amount of income. So let's say your month ahead is $5,000, you would say, okay, my income for August is $5,000. I don't do that. Again, it's completely earned already. And that's kind of what I'm going to talk a little bit about when it comes to building the buffer, because that's where I differ a little bit from some of the people that have a month ahead or do like a rollover in their budget. So I think I mentioned all of those things. So how to build up a buffer. Honestly, I think it's really simple, really. It's really just living on less than what you make. And I know that's hard for some people because if you don't have an income level that allows you to do that, then it's not as easy as it sounds. But basically, Jason and I created a buffer when we first got married and started budgeting together. And I'm gonna be completely honest, we were not on top of budgeting that much, but we knew that as we were paying off our student loans, because we honestly started paying off our student loans like right when we got married, we knew that we had to have something in our account so that like if the timing issues happened, that we would still be covered. And so we honestly just kind of like put paying off our extra student loan payments, we put that on hold while we built up that little buffer. And then once that buffer was in place, then we could continue doing what we were doing. So the first thing that you would probably have to do is pause whatever goal you're working on, like Jason and I did. So if you're paying off student loans, paying off your car, you'd put that on hold for a month or so while you can get to that buffer amount. And I know that stinks because with paying off debt, honestly, a lot of it has to do with like traction and like getting stuff done. But if you put stuff on hold, it could be like, man, I'm getting discouraged because I'm not working towards this goal. I'm not seeing this amount go down. But honestly, having that buffer in place should be motivation for you because you're like, you know what, now I don't have to worry about the timing of stuff. I have a little bit tucked away. And I know having a buffer is probably not Dave Ramsey approved, but I have always been very conservative when it comes to budgeting. I like to make sure that like I have worst case scenario figured out. And so this is definitely worst case scenario. So again, I do listen to Dave Ramsey. I do try and follow a lot of his principles, but this is probably one of those things that is not something he would recommend, especially if you're working on paying off debt. But as someone who has been in a situation where like we didn't have water, we didn't have electric, we didn't have any of that stuff, I have to make sure that I have something in place so that worst case scenario, I can pay my bills. So again, just do what makes you comfortable. I think that's the biggest budgeting tip I could ever give. So again, just either pause what you're working on currently. So if you're paying off debt, pause that. If you're working on saving for something, pause that while you can build up more. A lot of that's gonna have to do with what your income is right now, what expenses you have. And so if you are living on more, if you have extra income, but you have some expenses that are a little bit like more wants than needs, I would cut some of those for the month. So if you have subscriptions that you don't need, cut those. That will definitely add a little bit more. If you go get your nails done, don't do that for a month so you can start saving some extra money. But honestly, the way to build up a buffer would be to either pick up random jobs, make some extra money, and put that towards the buffer, or somehow decrease your expenses. And a lot of that is going to be putting whatever goal you're working on right now on hold, which again, kind of stinks when you're trying to like really work at it, but it's ultimately what you're gonna have to do if you want a buffer. I've talked about this a lot recently, but Jason and I have been selling random things around our house, and this month and last month together, we have saved over $2,000 by doing that. So if you have extra stuff around your house and you're like, man, I really want to get a buffer, $2,000 in 2 months by just selling stuff, that's pretty amazing. So definitely an option. You could pick up a part-time job doing something. Again, I think probably the main thing that you would probably have to do though, if you really want to get like a substantial amount, is to put whatever goal you're working on hold. I am a huge believer in the buffer. I think it makes a huge difference for us and our family. I never have to worry about the timing of things, which is also one thing that with budgeting, I don't want to do. I've never liked it. I've sat down and tried to figure it out. And honestly, I could figure it out. I could totally put together like a whole schedule of things, but I don't want to. Having the buffer makes it very easy. And I get a true number of what we are saving because I know exactly what income is coming in during the month. I know exactly what is going out, and I don't have to worry about like, okay, we're getting paid the last time the first week in in August, the last time, the, you know, first week in September. I don't want to worry about that type of stuff. I've never really liked doing that. So anyway, that is the main reason why we have a buffer in our checking account. That is how I would suggest saving for one, if that is something that you're interested in. That's how we did it. We honestly just put our goal of paying off our student loans on hold. And depending on what your buffer is, it could be pretty quick. Like for us, the $5,000, honestly, we've had a ton of money saved and we've recently been using some of that to pay down stuff. But when we first started doing, you know, paying off our student loans when we got married, we just waited a couple months. Like we honestly, like whatever we wanted that amount to be, and honestly, I have no idea what it was. We just waited to do some other stuff before, you know, while we were saving that money up. So hopefully that makes sense. I sat down and wrote out a whole list of what a buffer is to me and how we did it and how to accomplish that. But I think ultimately it just depends on your situation and your finances. So again, I hope this was helpful for you guys. If you guys have any questions for me, leave them down below. I've been trying really hard to get back to you guys on those comments so that if there's something that you're like not sure about, that I can help you out with that so you can accomplish those goals. So anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed seeing and hearing all about buffers. And again, if you have any questions, leave them down below. Bye guys.